She's completely unexplainable. You think she's a good girl, but once you get to know her, you realize she's everything. She's crazy, she's funny, she's honest, and you never know what she'll do next.
Hello, I'm so glad to be back another week, and I'm glad you came back to see me. I am so honored today to have a man who is, paved a road of his own in Mississippi, and he's running for Congress, for U.S. Congress, Carl Boyenton. Welcome. I'm so happy to have you here today.
I'm happy to be here.
And Carl's he's running for office, and we're just here to get to know him. We want to find out what he's all about. Carl, where'd you get this idea that you wanted to run for Congress?
Well, it was a stupid idea to begin with. I've been in business for over 40 years and built a bunch of successful businesses and stuff. So, you get into the times right now where things are looking pretty bad. There's so much stuff going on. With the border, with the inflation, with crime, and I have two daughters and hope to have grandkids. One's 28 and one's 25.
Okay, I have four daughters, 30, 29, 26, and 24.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah. Well, that's got to be a handful because I know
we
my
can
two
kind of relate. We're relating. Okay.
But I will have grandkids eventually, and I think it's everybody's duty to get involved.
Right.
And coming from the background I have, I think I could add a lot to Congress. I'm not going there for the money or the power. I gave up $100 million to move from Seattle.
I was going to say, I heard you were a billionaire. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that's correct.
No,
but.
that's far from that. Far from that.
This is all hearsay. I don't know. But what kind of a company did you have, or do you still have?
Well, I actually worked for somebody in Seattle. When I went to Seattle, when I was younger, I worked for a small company that did about $1 million a year. And I started at the bottom, unloading trucks, and I worked my way to the top. And I ran the company and built it from $1 million to almost $1 billion in 2000.
Wow.
I quit because at the peak of my career, because I didn't want my daughters to grow up in Seattle.
Okay.
So I took them back home to Mississippi. They had a great life.
Right.
And every time I go back to Seattle, my boss says, "I bet you we should have stayed because you'd be worth $100 million now." Not really.
Right.
I enjoy what I do. I started from scratch again when I got down to Mississippi and built up a company from 0 to 40 million in 4 years, and then in one day I went from 40 million to 0, and that was Katrina.
Oh, wow.
So that took out my warehouse in New Orleans and all my customers. So
wow.
I had to start all over again.
You know what it's like. You know what it's like to have been there,
done
really well, and then lost it all. Then somehow, did you get it back?
Well, yeah, I built it back up, and in 2013, I sold it and kind of retired again, but I built a couple more companies, and I have one in Dallas, Texas, and another one that I work from home, and we write contracts for national chains all over the country.
All right.
So built that back up, and that's what I'm still doing today. And I do a lot of other projects because I also work in food safety.
Right.
So we just have a patent on a water-based solution that kills Salmonella, E. coli, COVID, and stuff, and we're marketing that right now to the produce industry, the chicken industry, and the fish industry.
That's wonderful.
But again, doing all that stuff, I know I could contribute when I get to Congress. I've created thousands of jobs. I've balanced budgets. I know, insurance, finance, labor.
Right.
And it's in produce, so I've been in the farm industry for over 40 years. Mm-hmm. So I know import, export. I've been to all 20, 30 different countries for produce.
Oh, wait. Sorry. Excuse me, guys. Got to turn off my
messages. But, so, again, that's, I bring a lot to the table, and I have experience, and I'm not afraid of, when I get there, I'm not afraid of Democrats, rhinos, or establishment Republicans.
Right.
And, I'm not going there to make a career out of it. Matter of fact, one of the first bills I want to pass is a term limit bill. So day one, I'll introduce a term limit bill, and I'll term limit myself already because I don't want to go there for 20, 30 years.
Really? And so what is that bill going to say?
Well, you were going to use a 1994 Contract with America term limit bill, which is 12 years Senate, 12 years House. But the little caveat I'm going to put in there is it doesn't start for 12 years. So that way, the current people that are there, you might have be able to talk them into signing up on it because, they're going to get 24 more years.
Right.
But then you can tell them it's like the good part about it is you'll go down in history as being one of the ones that signed the bill. So, I can't understand how people wouldn't be for it because that gives them, 24 more years. And then the good part about us is it gives us in 12 years, we'll have term limits.
Yeah.
So you got to
Because
start
there
somewhere.
are some people that have been in Congress for a super long time,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, they die there. I mean, it's the place
Yeah,
you go
I
to
noticed
die.
that. I noticed that like the last
Oh, and the Senate is just an
election.
old nursing home is
Yeah.
all that is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a shame. I mean, McCain, Dianne Feinstein, they just won't quit. They stay till they die.
Right.
And, it's not supposed to be that way. You're supposed to be a citizen legislator. And until, like, the 1900s, the average time in office was 3.8 years.
Okay.
Now we're up to 12 years is the average time.
Wow.
So, we need to do something about that. And term limits seems to me to be the solution.
Okay. Now tell me, you mentioned a little bit about inflation, I think. So
Well-
what do you have in mind that might be able to help with that?
Well, for one is, we got to get somebody back in office that, inflation will go down if you just open up our energy sector. I mean, because in my business, which is the food business, all those prices across the board
Right.
are up because of, energy. If you're buying something from a farm and they got to pay 40% more for their energy to produce it, well,
Right.
of course it's going to cost more.
Right.
Trucking's going to cost more. Warehouses cost more. Delivery costs more. So you got to start drilling.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that would stop the inflation. But, you also have to take and stop spending. And like right now, we have $33.685 trillion in debt. We're skyrocketing to 34 trillion. They passed the debt ceiling increase in May, and it was 32.2 or something like that. And within 2 to 3 weeks, it was 33 trillion, and it keeps going up. So, with that debt ceiling vote, they also voted not to have to vote for a debt ceiling again until January 2025.
Okay.
So they can miss all the election. So we could be 36 to 38 trillion by 2025.
Wow.
And needless to say, that it devalues our money. So we just have to have some smart, legislation to take and cut the spending and stuff.
Right. Right. Now, keeping that in mind, what do you have in mind for improving crime?
Well, to tell you the truth, if we quit spending money on stupid stuff like $450 billion on illegal immigrants a year, Department of Education $80 billion. I mean, what we need to do is have a federal program to help finance and fund more police and pay them better. Because I can tell you, police don't make much. I had lunch with a lieutenant the other day in my county.
Right.
And he's been there for 20-something years, and he's going to retire. And he says he can't live on what he's making as a lieutenant
Right.
in the sheriff's office. He has to have a second job. And he says when he retires, he'll make more money going into trucking than he's making as a...
Oh, my goodness.
So, you have to pay the people that protect us.
You
And
do.
to me, if we don't do something about that, you're not going to be able to fix crime. Because if it's a job, you can go in and actually have a livable wage.
Right.
Then people will join. More people will.
Right. Right. So now you also touched a little bit on border.
Right.
The border there. Now, what is going on with this border? I've heard all of these different things that they're just like basically opening it up for people to come in who, I mean, and I don't have a problem with people coming over from other countries into America, but I do have a problem when they're not documented.
Right. Or legal. There's
Or
a legal
legal.
pathway. There's a legal
Or they're
way in.
just sneaking in, right?
Right.
That, I mean,
Right now we have 1.2 million that have already filed their asylum claim, but Biden is not using ICE to kick them out. So there's 1.2 million that should be gone right now.
oh my goodness.
So if we actually had a working ICE, they would be picking them up and shipping them back to their countries.
Ben, do you have that video we have?
But, the problem is, and I was at Eagle Pass here a couple weeks ago, and I've been to the border probably 20 times. But I was at Eagle Pass, and that's in this video right here, where you can see as they're crossing the border, they're all trained. They must be given lessons on how to get across concertina wire, which, that's supposed to keep you out.
Right.
But they come through it like nothing. They take and come up to the concertina wire. They put their backpacks and clothes and stuff on it. Then they walk right across it. And you'll see the National Guard standing there. They're not turning them around. You see state police right there. They're not turning them around. And it's not their fault. I mean, that's Biden's fault because they're actually instructed to not touch illegals. So their job is to welcome them.
Now, is there a wall over there now?
Well, down on the right-hand side, they've put up the containers and stuff, so they come down, but, there's no wall there. But, again, this is happening all over the border, from California through Texas. And you've got, when we were there, they were just streaming across all day long. And Border Patrol, none of those guys do anything to avert it.
Wow.
It's a shame because, I talked to the National Guard, we talked to the state police and the Border Patrol, and they don't even know what they're doing there.
Right.
It says all we do is sit here. They cross over the border. We line them up in a single file. We walk them over to the Customs and Border Patrol. They process them, put them on a bus, and ship them out.
Right.
And the sad part is not just because of the fentanyl coming across, but you have sex trafficking.
That is the worst.
And we had Victor Avila, who was running for Congress down there. He's the one that his partner was shot and killed in Mexico, and he was shot 3 times, and he was working on sex trafficking. But the cartel ambushed him and shot him. But like he would tell you, they actually have rent-a-kids up there where they give the kids to the families, they come across, and then they turn them in when they get over here.
Right.
But the problem is since Biden took over, these people can bring little kids, little girls, little boys, and we saw bunches of them.
Really?
And they can bring them over, and they don't check to see if they're actually family. Under Trump.
How can they do that? I just can't even understand how that can happen. When you go you can't even get through the airport without proving who you are.
Yeah.
How can you get in a whole nother country?
With little kids, little girls and stuff. Because when we were there, if you looked at that video there's some cute little girls with them and stuff that look like their family and everything. But under Trump, they took DNA test. So they proved that they were in the family or not. Under Biden, he said it slowed down the process too much, so they don't even DNA test them. So that means you can bring across kids, little boys, little girls, and, sell them into the sex trafficking, and we're not doing anything about it. To me, that's a crime Biden should be thrown in jail for.
Yeah.
They've lost at least 85,000 kids in the country already. So if you actually read up on the sex trafficking trade, which unfortunately I'm well versed in it.
Sounds horrible.
Yeah, it's a horrible thing, and I can tell you, I was told by the Border Patrol some stories that I wouldn't tell you on this, but it's horrible.
Yeah.
And we're not doing nothing about it. This border is wide open. I've got people to say, oh, if you close the border, these people need help and stuff. But the trouble is again, there's a legal process. We've got 25,000 Chinese have come in this year, the most ever.
Right.
We've got people coming from countries that we don't have any connection with. So we have no way of vetting the people coming across. So, if we don't do something about it, unfortunately, one of these days we could have an October 7th like they had in Israel. Because, we've got, there's probably 10,000 terrorists here.
Oh, my goodness.
And it's sad because, the trouble is the terrorists and the really good terrorists probably wouldn't be coming across the border where everybody else is, but they'd use that as a distraction and come further down across the border.
I can't even understand how that can happen, really.
Well, again, I don't understand what the goal is because, letting all these people in doesn't really, help the country. You can't take in.
Well, it helps the people.
Yeah,
it helps the people, of course.
But the trouble is, it doesn't help us because the taxpayers pay for it. You look at even the liberal cities are whining about how much money it's costing them. So,
you wonder why the government is letting this happen?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think about what's going on in Israel right now?
Well, I'm a huge Israel supporter. I think we need to turn them loose and let them annihilate Hamas. The trouble we've got is that, the real criminal there and the real terrorist is Iran. And Biden is in bed with Iran. So, I mean,
I don't think Biden knows whose bed he's in.
yeah, I'm telling you,
Honestly,
he's jumping from bed to bed to bed,
Yeah, honestly, I
But-
don't even give him enough credit to think that he knows what's going on.
No.
And I'm not going to lean either way, really. I'm trying hard not to lean on political things here, but
Right.
I mean, when like I just said to you the other day, if someone says to me they're a Biden supporter,
Yeah.
I have to really question
Yeah.
them
What's
and
wrong with
what
you?
they
Yeah.
want.
Yeah.
What do they want in their perfect world?
Yeah, and again, I mean, just with what he's doing makes no sense. I mean, he in
I don't
Afghanistan.
think he knows what he's doing.
No, I don't
you
think
watch
so.
him on these
Well,
TV shows? Like when he's interviewed and stuff, he doesn't even know how to get off the stage.
Yeah,
You
I don't
know?
think he's doing anything except
I
for what
don't
he's
think
told.
it's him and it's someone
Yeah,
else.
yeah,
It's
I
other
think
people back there
He's just a puppet.
doing something. Yeah.
I mean, you can tell
They
when you
have
can't even read a
ultimate
teleprompter.
Ulterior
you know.
motives. Yeah, exactly.
So, but again, I think the trouble is I don't understand even what the people behind him, what their philosophy is. I mean, what they want to do. I mean, we could have. I did something on my blog about, I don't know, a year or so ago when the border was first open, and I extrapolated out, how much more water it's going to cost us
Right.
to bring in all these people. And this is when I was only thinking there was going to be 6 to 8 million. Now I'm thinking there's going to be 20 million. But the stress on our infrastructure, the stress on our pollution, spending more money on gas, so all the opposite of what they believe in,
Right.
but yet they still keep pouring across the border, and he does nothing about it. So I don't understand his philosophy. I mean, it goes completely against his Green New Deal.
Right.
Because bringing in all these poor people, putting them on where they're using water, so that means we're going to use more water. So in drought-stricken areas where like L.A. or California or something, who have the most,
Yeah.
it's just going to cost more money. It's going to use more water, more. They're going to be in our schools, so we're stressing out our school systems. I mean, again, I don't understand the philosophy. The only thing I can think is he's doing it on purpose to destroy America. It's the only thing I can think of.
But I can't understand why anybody would want to destroy America. Who's in
Well-
charge of America? Like, what is the benefit there? I can't understand what the benefit is there if America goes down for anybody.
Well, remember what Obama said? He wanted to fundamentally change America. And I think Biden is going through with his promise.
Fundamentally change America for what?
Well,
To do what?
I really have no clue.
Change America
why.
to do what?
I think the problem is I just think they don't like America. I mean, they don't like it the way it is. I mean, look at all the stuff they want to change. We've been 200, 300 years, and we knew there was a man and a woman. Then all of a sudden, in the last year and a half, 2 years, we've got 160 genders. And the Democrats go to the lowest common denominator. I mean, they take and push like transgenders. There's like, what, 0.001% of America's transgender. But now everybody has to take and change for them. It's just, you wonder, I think it's just the constant push of division. And I think that's what they want. They like chaos.
Well, it's funny you say that because that's what my blog is about.
Ooh, I think I know what time it is.
Is it blog time?
I think it's blog time.
Woo! Well, you walked right into that, Carl, because my blog, I used to write these blogs when I lived in South Beach, and they all have to be about something that passionately affected me. And I wrote this one November 17th of 2019, and I'm gonna not read it because I've been told that maybe it's better when I tell it. So if you have any questions, to go to www.beingtracy.com is where my blogs are stored. And this one was called Trumpster or Trump-panzy. Okay, so I'm going to not read it, but the first thing I wrote was that our country has become divided politically, okay? And I was just like, whatever happened to freedom of speech? Whatever happened to respecting and honoring our neighbors for having differing views that may not be the same as our own? And we just spoke before this, so I know that you agree with me, Carl. Anyway, it started on Halloween. Was having a party in South Beach at my apartment, and love to just invite everybody into my parties, all my neighbors, people I don't know very well, and one neighbor I invited, and he was going to come. He was all excited to come, and then he said, "Can he bring his girlfriend who didn't know me?" And I said, "Of course he can," And so then he said that he called me right before the party. This was a real downer. He called me right before the party and said, "Are there going to be any Trump-panzys there? My girlfriend wants to know. She won't come until she finds out." And I said, "What am I going to say?" I said, "Well, I'm a Trump-panzy." And so with that, text message beyond text message started coming in from that point of the party until the whole next morning, where they're sending me all these text messages disparaging me, disparaging our president, and really disparaging me because I'm supporting the president or President Trump at the time. So anyway, it's just, the different political views. That's what's so upsetting to me anyway. And then another instance that I had that I told about in this blog was when I went, after he found out I was a Trump-panzy, he just said bye. And that was supposed to be the end of it. But then I kept getting all those text messages that were just really horrible, made me feel really bad. And then the next thing that happened was I was at a chiropractic congress for the American Chiropractor magazine, visiting my daughter in the conference was in San Diego, but I was visiting my daughter in Los Angeles before I came home. And I have the dating apps, Carl, on my phone, and they have a GPS on them. So they all knew that I was in LA, all these new people in my circle. But on my dating app, I always would put what my political view is because I didn't want this to be a problem. It's not a problem for me. People have a right to their own opinion, as long as they respect mine as well. But I was getting these people in San Diego and then again in Los Angeles that I was getting just a swarm of new men that were interested in me. But then when I started talking to them, I realized how many of them had very opposing views with me, as they didn't have the same view as me politically, but they were so insulting and just downright mean to me. And finally, I told my daughter, I was even considering moving to LA near my daughter at the time from Miami. And I said, you know what? I can't stay here. I can't live here if this is the way that people treat people. It was just amazing. And I only went on one date when I was there, and it was a man that I went out with who said he was an actor. And he said that he said we were sitting in a quiet corner of a bar, and he said, I'm a Trump supporter. He said, but I can't tell anybody because I won't get any acting jobs. So anyway, I was just like, I went home and I told my daughter, I said, this is crazy, and I said, I'm going home. And I booked my ticket home for the next day. Then I went out to lunch with someone else that I met on the dating app real quick before I was going to fly out. And he said, hey, listen, there is a group that agrees with you here. They're called the Trump, I can't remember what they were called. It was a Trump supporters group, but they meet down in the basement of underneath a restaurant. And I'm like, you are kidding me. And I said, wait a minute, I got to postpone my flight out for that night to later, like 10 o'clock instead of 8 o'clock, so I can go to see these Trump supporters who are meeting underground. It was actually called an underground Trump meeting. And I went there, and it was a great group of people. I hate to say it, but I love Republicans. I love the people that support President Trump and support making America great again. Those are my kind of people, and it was really an emotional trip. And I'm even feeling like a little bit emotional just remembering it because there was so much hate.
Oh, yeah.
And so why do you think, what happened to the Americans from going from freedom of speech and everybody has a right to their opinion to all of a sudden being like that to each other? What has happened, Carl?
So much Trump hate, all the misinformation, disinformation and stuff. I mean, as you well know, people hate Trump. And when they start hating him, it doesn't stop. funny story. When I was in Los Angeles, I went to a comedy show. And this is after the first election.
I love comedy shows.
And the comedian started his show, and he was funny and stuff. And then he goes like, "Hey, is there anybody in here that's a Trump supporter?" Hey, right here. And well, the rest of the show was about me.
Oh my gosh,
yeah.
they picked on you.
Oh yeah, the whole time. I didn't care, you know. I you can't hurt my feelings. So, you know, he was constantly, and you know, some of the stuff was funny, but the rest wasn't. So, you know, I didn't.
I don't mind people who disagree with me.
Oh yeah, same
I
here.
just don't like when they're mean. When they're mean to each other. I don't like mean people. I don't like people that pretend like they care about you and then say mean things.
Right.
You know? And that's what I'm having trouble understanding how one man, Trump, who wanted to make America great again, believe it or not, because some of you don't believe it, that's okay.
Yeah.
But how that can make so many people so full of hatred for each other.
Well, as we talked about, you know, I mean, I have no problem if you like any other candidate. I mean, you know, that's what's great about America. You support whoever you want to support.
Right.
You know, I'm not going to talk bad about Nikki Haley or Ron DeSantis or Vivek I can't even pronounce his last name. But again, you know, they're all candidates for president. One of those guys could be president. And they're all Republicans. So, you know, I've got nothing wrong with these guys.
Right.
And I don't, you know, to me, that's your prerogative.
Right.
Support whoever you want. Mm-hmm. But, you know, again, there's no reason to have the hate towards Trump because, again, it's, I mean, 2.5 years of, and this is the reason why, like I always say that, you know, I can understand why he's always mad or saying bad things is because when you start your presidency off with an investigation that was put on by Hillary Clinton, well, you know, that would tick me off too. I mean, when constantly they're telling you, you know, you're a Russian troll or, you know, Russia owns you, which we know Biden's owned by China and nobody cares, you know? So, I mean, again, to me, it's, you know, I'd be in a bad mood all the time too. Someone
said to me last week, they said that they love President Trump, but they said he's like a Martian, you know, because he's not from this world because so many people beat him down. Like, imagine, like one person said something really mean to me. I'm like out for the next day, you know, but this man keeps plugging, keeps going, doesn't drink. You know, which I think is impeccable.
I'd be drinking.
For sure. You know, so I'm just, that's really something, you know, it's a really incredible human being that can take all of that. And even though someone just said to me recently, but Tracy, you know, why do you want President Trump to be reelected?
Right.
Like, that's not church-like, because people know that I'm a Catholic.
Right.
You know, I'm a God follower. But I love President Trump and everything that he stands for, and I want to make America great again. Hello, I want to make America great again. And whatever it takes to make the economy come back up and for people to be happy again and for people to be supportive of each other again, that's what I want to happen.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
well, I agree with you. You know, there's too much hate and division, and again, you have your opinion. I'm fine with your opinion.
I can't help it. It's like, give me the mic. Give me the mic. I got to tell you what I think. You know, it's like, the person that recommended that you be on this podcast, you know, she said to me, the first thing she said was, have I leaned either way, right or left? And I said, no, I haven't. Because, you know, I'm just getting this podcast off the ground. You know, I'm trying to get started here. But I feel so much like it's so important. You know, it's not so much about being right or left. It's about wanting the best for what is America. Yeah. And I don't care what anybody says. Let's bring the economy back. Let's bring the interest rates back. Let's bring, you know, like equality back, you know?
Right. Well, I mean, that's the trouble is, again, you know, we all should be going for the same goal, and that is to, you know, have crime down. I mean, you know, you can say whatever you want, but when you see crime in D.C., Chicago, Los Angeles, you know, we need to fix that. And that's not a Democrat or Republican thing. Well, it is because Democrats are causing it. But, I mean, you know, we need to do something about that. Whether, you know, and even Donald Trump wanted to help out, but they didn't want his help. So, I mean, the trouble is, you know, they're so polarized. They would rather have, people killed in the street than accept help from the opposite party, which is crazy.
I have people that I loved in my life who defriended me because, and they never even told me why, and it was all around the COVID time and the politics time, and they were surprisingly Democrat, but like I just said to you, I was able to maintain a friendship with a gay man that lives in South Beach for years. We never had a problem, and then just all of a sudden one day, he wrote me off, and I never heard from him again. And he was my best friend. And so, I mean, it's...
Well, I hate to say it, but both my daughters went to college, so they're both not conservative. One of them's not liberal, but she's just not conservative. She's non-political. My other daughter's a liberal. And, I have no problem. Her views are her views,
Exactly. It's about loving the people.
Yeah.
It's about loving the people.
Yeah.
And supporting people and wanting the best for people. It's not about it. We don't have to be divided.
No. Well,
this doesn't have to divide us. The fact that
see,
you and I both agree.
Right.
The fact that we both agree doesn't. We're not divided. But, with other people, like Ben won't tell me what he believes. So I don't know what he's... I don't know which side Ben's on.
But if you notice, even like with Biden, people don't sit there and continuously talk about Biden, hate Biden, but they do Trump. I mean, for some reason, it's always, you got to hate Trump. There's nothing wrong with, if you don't support him, that's fine. Don't support him. We have elections for that. So if he doesn't get elected, you win.
Exactly.
So I mean, again,
it's more what he was able to do that we want to bring back, right?
Well, that's what I'm talking about. I mean, I like what he
what
did.
he did.
Yeah.
What he did when he was president was awesome. We were all winning. We were winning.
Yeah.
So let's just bring that back. And if it's not him, if it's not President Trump, I'm praying and manifesting it's going to be someone else wonderful who's going to be able to make America great again.
Well, I think we have some good candidates. I mean, some of them are, business people, which I love anybody that's a business person.
Right.
And see, that's actually the reason day one when Trump ran was I supported him because he was a business person.
Right.
Because to me, we need more business people in Congress, in the Senate.
Yeah, because they're real people that know how to live and know how to be.
Well, you understand what a budget is and stuff, and if you got people out there that are just going there to, to have a job and a career, well, they're not looking out for us.
Right.
That's why we need people that have a business background.
If they're getting paid whether we win or lose, right?
Yes, that's right, yeah. So that's what I mean. We really need business people. And that's why I'm running. I'm a business person.
Exactly.
So, I think I can actually go there and get something done. And if I don't want to be there.
Right.
I mean, I would rather be home. I mean, it really took a lot for me to jump into this race this time because.
Really?
Yeah, because, I mean, I was thinking about, because I just went through the 2023 race in Mississippi, governor, lieutenant governor, and, and I supported like 20 different candidates and most conservative candidates. And, the majority of them lost to the rhinos because, unfortunately, they were incumbents, and it's really hard to beat an incumbent, even in state races. But the trouble is money.
Now, rhino, where did that name come from?
Republican in
I
name
don't usually
only.
call people names.
Oh, no,
Where did the name rhino come from? I don't know. I don't watch the news either.
Republican in name only.
Oh.
So they're really lean more to Democrat.
Sense. Yeah.
But, every one of them, which, I've given advice to all different kinds of candidates and stuff, governor, lieutenant governor, and I told them all the same thing. I said, to get a governorship, even in Mississippi, you're going to need $8 to $10 million to get started. And he raised $100,000. The guy that ran for lieutenant governor, I told him the same thing. I said, the incumbent right now has $4.5 million in the bank. You're going to need $4.5 to $5 million just to be competitive with him. And he didn't raise but like $1 million. Right. And he was up by 6 points in the poll. Mm-hmm. But when the lieutenant governor dumped $5 million in at the end of the race, he inundated the airways for the last 2 weeks. He lost by 5 to 6 points.
Wow.
So, when you have money and you can lie in a commercial, which he did quite a bit of it, but, you can lie in a commercial and, people believe it.
Well, what I found is people believe whatever they read or whatever they see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
On social media.
Yeah.
On anything. You say whatever you think. It's your opinion. You can say it. and advertise that, and people just watch it, and that's why I don't watch the news anymore.
Well, that's the trouble is, I mean, you know, anything you see, you should research anyway.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't take anybody's word for anything. Trust me, I posted stuff on Facebook sometimes, come back and it was wrong. I'm like, yeah, God. I thought for sure that was right. I need to research from now on.
Exactly, that's
So,
true.
yeah, there's so much disinformation and misinformation out there. If you don't research what you see, you know, you should research it before you post it. That's for sure.
For sure, for sure. Well, let's see. I was going to tell another story, but I'm not sure if I should now. It's about dating. It was a funny story. I wanted to, it's called, my friend Robert that I went to Cuba with called me yesterday out of the blue. Like, now remember, I've known this guy since I lived in Panama. He doesn't live in Panama. He lives in New York, but we've kept in touch. And he said, and he's loved my blog. He always freaking loved my Being Tracy blog. He'd always be like, did you write a new blog yet? And anyway, so this guy calls me yesterday and says, I've got to tell you a funny story. And this is about the economy, so I thought you might appreciate it. But so his girlfriend, or his friend, I think he said her name was Emily, went out in New York to one of these poshy places, like a rooftop bar kind of a place. And she's on a date with a guy that she met on a dating app. And, you know, the date, she tells the date, you know, I'm kind of hungry. Can we order something to eat, you know? And the date says, yeah, let's get some hummus and tortilla chips, pita chips. And so the bartender brings over like the most amazing hummus ever that she's ever had, and 2 pita chips, 2 or maybe 4. But anyway, but split between the 2 of them, 2 each. They were gone in no time, and there was all this amazing hummus left. And so then they ask for more hummus, you know, and the bartender brings them more hummus, or not more hummus, I'm sorry, more pitas, so they can enjoy the hummus. Bartender brings it over, no problem. And then they're like, wow, there's still more hummus left. And that hummus was so good. Can we get some more pitas? So the bartender brings over a couple more pitas, just like a couple. And then the bartender says, well, if you are going to have more pitas, I'm going to have to charge you for them. And she looks at her date, and her date says, well, then forget it. We're not going to get more pitas. And I just couldn't stop laughing because, you know, then the question in her mind, which I've been there, it's like, do you just all of a sudden take over the date and emasculate this guy and say, look, I'm going to buy all the drinks and all the pitas and chips. I want more pitas and chips. He said, but the thing was, she decided it had already gone wrong because, as I've always said, if a man, if this isn't a generous guy who's going to make sure that I have enough pitas to have the rest of the hummus, you know, I'm not going to go out with him anyway. And that's kind of the way she felt. So she finally just decided, look, I'm going to tell him, look, forget it. I'm going to pay for this round for us. I want more hummus and chips. You know, bring us more. In fact, bring us a pizza. You know, that's the joke of when I went to Cuba. Because as my friend Robert kept saying, I was eating all the pizza everywhere because, which is funny because it reminds me of my dad. My dad used to always tease me about my eating habits too. But anyway, but that's what it comes down to. It comes down to these guys that they're penny pinchers.
Yeah.
What girl is attracted to a penny pincher? How many girls do you think are attracted to penny pinchers?
Well, probably a lot of feminists.
You think so?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I would guess. I know I always try to get my wife to pay and she won't.
Exactly. I mean, I couldn't stop laughing about that story, and I wanted to tell it today because he said, I know. He said, Tracy, I know what you do. I know you've been in that situation, and that's why he wanted to tell me the story. And I'm sure I probably have a blog if I looked back, but that is the thing nowadays. You know, it's
Luckily, I got married so long ago. We're on our 29th year here in a couple weeks.
29.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
So I didn't get any of the dating apps. So.
Oh, you've never been on
I've
a dating app.
never
You
been
don't
on a
have any
dating
idea
app.
what I'm talking
No,
about then.
no, not
The
at all.
GPS following me. You have no idea what that's about.
No, no clue. No clue. My daughters, they were on them, but I didn't show them to me. So,
Right.
But, I really don't know anything about that.
Oh my gosh. Well, bless you. God bless you. Look, it's not as fun as it sounds. Let me tell you.
Oh, I know. It'd be tough to be single right now.
Ben, what do you think?
It's awful to be single right now. It's awful. It's awful.
It's not the best time. It's not the best time to be single.
Funny because I always thought, it's
But if you look at it another way, like I'm going to have another show coming up that's about dating. It's a blessing, really,
we're doing that right now.
we have the dating apps. They're a blessing, but it's just weeding through the
and you
people
don't
out.
get killed or something.
And then you don't get killed. Exactly. Okay, Ben. Well, should we have the real estate minute? All right, by Current Matters today, I found some information that says that economists are turning optimistic about the U.S. economy now. Carl, this is how optimistic they are. 54% in July, and now 48% in December. Think there's not going to be a problem in the economy coming up.
Well, it's hard to say because, you got so many different economists that read it a different way because, you're constantly hearing we're about to go into a recession. And people seem to think that, people are rooting for a recession, so it makes Biden look bad. Well, I can tell you, I've been through recessions. I don't want no recession.
No.
I would rather we do good. Again, I don't root for Biden to do bad.
Right.
I root for America to do good.
Exactly. That's what we're all rooting for, right?
Right. So,
well, not all of us, I guess, but
yeah. Well, not all
most of the
us,
ones that I
yeah.
talked to are. And Fannie Mae's survey said 23% of people think prices will fall over the next 12 months, which is one in four.
Yeah. I'm really not sure that's going to happen.
But Ben, we need to put up my graph.
Uh-oh.
You don't think prices are falling?
Not in my area, they're not.
Okay, well, anyway, the prices aren't falling.
Okay.
The median sale price is up in Florida. These are all Florida numbers, but
Okay.
this is to show you that the economy is actually doing really well, especially here in Florida. Okay, closed sales is up 6.1%. Active inventory is up 4%. Dollar volume is up 14%. The listings that are out there for sale is up 8%. This is the last quarterly survey or status done by SunStats. Okay, so they do this every quarter, and this is just to show you that actually economy is doing pretty good here in Florida. Yeah. And the new pending sales are only 0.1% because they went down 0.1% because the things that go under contract are like sold immediately, like they close immediately. So.
Well, even, again, I believe in certain areas, yeah, sure, it's probably bad. But like where we are, we don't have enough houses on the market.
Well, that's why I said the statistics, because it's like the doom and gloom.
And we just added 8 million more people here. So, somebody got to live somewhere.
They're all out there focusing on the doom and gloom, right? And then if you pull up the numbers, it actually shows that, hey, America is starting to do great again.
It's doing good, except for the fact that with inflation so high, is that if you go to a grocery store and look at that, and the thing is the people that aren't making as much money as we are,
right?
Sometimes I wonder how it is that they get by, because you go out to dinner and it's $100.
Mm-hmm.
It's you go to a store and like my wife went the other day and it was like she had 2 bags and it was $125.
Yeah.
It's and I can tell you, I was driving home from Wiggins, me and my wife were, and there was a line of cars 5 miles long. And when we got to the end of it, there was a church there and they were giving away food. So we went into the church and I got the pastor and talked to him. And he says he believes they're going to feed about 2,000 people that day. And he said the month before they fed 1,400 people. And he says, the need's out there. And so actually this month here, because they do it every third Saturday, I'm going to donate a truckload of produce for the giveaway.
Wow.
So we're going to be out there handing out produce. And
where are you going to do that?
It's at a church in south of Wiggins, north of Biloxi, or Gulfport. But we do that a lot. I mean, we love going out and me and my wife are involved in all kinds of charities. Veterans.
That's wonderful.
We do a lot with veterans and stuff. We're on a veterans committee for the Veterans Ball this summer coming up, and we adopted a whole bunch of veterans and veterans kids and stuff for Christmas. We do food giveaways. We did a chili feed for the CB base.
Okay.
So yeah, and my wife, every one of those things you see on TV that say donate $19 a month, well, I think she's got them all covered.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
So she's Tunnel for Towers, Folds of Honor, St. Jude's. I mean, all of them. So, and again, that's what I say. If you can afford to, you should go out and do it.
Are you a real estate investor as well?
No, I hate real estate.
Yeah?
Yeah, I always buy the wrong stuff.
You just need a good real estate agent to work with, Carl.
Oh yeah. Well, I own a warehouse, and that's the only one I do well with.
Well, you're focused on the politics now. You're focused on making America great again, right?
Well, I'm actually out there, America first. I mean, we have to take care of ourselves before you can take care of other people.
Exactly.
And,
it's like put the life mask on yourself before you.
Well, if you look at the thing, the money we throw away, and I go out of my way not to buy from China. But you go to Lowe's or Home Depot, everything in there's from China. Walmart, everything's from China. Why don't we bring those jobs back? And you could do it with the money we throw away. We should take some of that money, start an incubator for low interest loans for entrepreneurs to start bringing back some of this, like the toy making and stuff. Most of that stuff that's in China now, they used to do it all by hand, and it was cheap.
Right.
Well, now they've built the equipment to do it. So, like the plastic molds and stuff, that's just a machine that makes those. We don't have to buy that from China. When in my business, peeled garlic was new back in the 80s and 90s.
Right.
And it was done in China. They did it by hand, they peeled garlic. Now there's machines that do that. So, we could do that stuff here ourselves. There's no reason for us to buy everything from China. And, when people say, well, we buy from Vietnam, we buy from these other places. Well, China's not stupid. When you take and say, well, we're not going to buy this from China, well, then they just finance or open up in Vietnam or, Korea, wherever it is, and they finance that, and they're still making the money.
Right.
So the best way to beat China is for us to make our own stuff here. 90-something% of all our vitamins are made in China. Why? That's all done in a machine.
That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That doesn't make sense.
No, but I mean, again, that's one of the things,
of
it's
all
like
the farmland we have here.
Yeah, and China's buying it up, But again, I don't blame them for buying our farmland. I blame us for not taking and utilizing our resources and taking and bringing that back. We can beat China by doing our own manufacturing. And until we do that, China's going to lead the way. And if, they're eating our lunch right now, and we need to get back, and we can do it if we actually go out and finance it, help it.
Now, I know the person that introduced us doesn't want me to talk about this, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Okay. You know what it is. Are you concerned about election interference? Because I have thought about this. Like, how do we know that this election's going to be
Well, luckily in Mississippi, we're in paper ballots and stuff. So, ours is a little bit better. But we actually, even in Mississippi, Hinds County in Mississippi, the election, it's a Democrat county, heavy. There's no poll watchers, and like the plugs that you take out of the computer, well, they're supposed to go straight to the election office. Well, 2 or 3 of them went missing for a couple of days, and then they finally found them, but somebody took them home. So, I mean, even if that's not interference, it's stupidity.
I just keep thinking they have to, there are so many smart people out there, they have to have learned something.
Yeah, well, unfortunately.
Last time.
You would think that, I'm not so worried about the election interference as I am about the, like with Trump, is these DAs, Soros DAs, and these liberal DAs and prosecutors trumping up charges, and the charges all relate to free speech. This is, they have no problem doing this to Republicans. It's crazy that you would take and, I've been in business 40 years, and he's actually in New York fighting a case because he inflated his net worth, which, it's like me. If I'm doing a loan and my warehouse appraises at $2 million, but I put a couple million in refrigeration,
Right.
well, that's $4 million to me.
Right.
And that's what it's worth to me. And the bank always, they're not going to take your word for it.
Right.
I mean, I work with banks. I mean, I can tell you right now, we just did a big line of credit for one of my companies in Dallas. Took us 9 months to get the line of credit set up because they go through everything with a fine-tooth comb.
Right, sure.
So to actually charge him with this, that is the most ticky-tack charge you could come up with. Mm-hmm. And that's what I call election interference right there. Because you know what? If you don't want him to win, go out and beat him. But to take and utilize the Department of Justice.
Or bring us a better candidate.
Yeah.
Bring us a better candidate. That's the thing.
Right.
It's like, who else can do what he did? Seriously.
Well, I mean, again, I think we have good candidates out there. The trouble is that, if you're going to win, win. I mean, unfortunately, Trump's up 40-something points. I'm pretty sure that when we get through all this, and most of these things, I can guarantee you, I'll be willing to bet you that if he gets actually hung with any of these charges, I would be shocked. Because even if they find it in the courts, the appellate court's going to overturn this. And by the time it gets to the Supreme Court, it'll overturn it. Because, you're taking free speech.
Yeah.
I mean, because he's denying that he lost. Well, every politician denies they lost. Stacey Abrams still hasn't conceded. Hillary Clinton still hasn't conceded.
Right.
So how in the world can you try to get into his psyche and say, like, well, you knew you lost, so you're wrong, which to me that's reaching. If you're going to win, win. Win on yourself. I don't mind losing an election if everybody's fair. Mm-hmm. So if we lose, if Trump loses, whoever, I'm okay with that if it's a fair election.
Yes.
And it's not fair when you go after somebody to try to indict
or if someone better comes along, please, I mean, that won't divide the country so much, you know? I mean, that would be wonderful. But right now, he already did make America great again, make America great. So that's why he's my first choice this time, and so anyway.
Well, like I say, and then to me, I have no problem with whoever anybody wants for president. I mean, we all have our choice, and, you get behind your guy. If he wins, you win.
Like I said, if someone else better comes along, I'm all for it. But anyway, so I want to thank you all for tuning in today. We had an awesome podcast, I think, and I want to let you know for all of your real estate needs, please call my office, Keller Williams Worldwide, 561-245-4000, or you can see my email, livingtracy.kw.com. Just let me know how I can help you. Residential, commercial. I've got partners all over the world that I have some great partners all over the world that are really the most educated and the most likely to be able to get you the best price for the property that you want. So please just reach out to me. Let me know how I can help you in what area you're in. And please, Carl, let us know how people can help you.
Just go to my website, Carl, 4 Congress, and donate. If you're going to win, conservatives have to support conservatives if we're going to win.
Are you visiting a lot of different states besides Florida?
No, I just have connections here and know people here. Of course, my daughter goes to school here, so.
Right. It's a big political state.
Oh, yeah. And, it's a good Republican state.
It's a great state, yeah. I love Florida.
It's
That's
not
why
Mississippi,
I'm encouraging
though.
you to invest in Florida real estate here. But anyway, also please subscribe. Any love you can give my podcast, post, give an emoji, share it with somebody else who'd be interested in seeing this wonderful podcast and learning more about Carl and how he can help to make the U.S. great again. Okay? Sound good?
To me.
Sounds good to me. Thanks, guys, for tuning in again. We're going to look forward to seeing you next week.